But at this point, we don't really see a solid extermination plan in place. We see things lining up that suggest that an impetus of social Darwinism is now in play. You know, they're getting the safety nets. We have there's no affordable housing in LA, that's for sure. And we have a lot of other things going on fiscally that would seem that we are facing, a very tough time, that the fittest or the economically successful will survive and those who are not successful may not. But although there are hints of concentration camps and hints of this and that, there has not yet surfaced a solid data of an extermination vehicle. This system is an extermination vehicle. It is a targeting vehicle. So that with this system, with the water supply, they can target an individual residence and skip over other residences. And when I was researching this, I was looking into this for quite a while before I kind of surfaced and made that request for the records, and I wanted to make sure that I knew exactly what I was looking for. Now, there's a particular valve that they use in waterworks. It is called a T-valve. Now, this particular valve has several capabilities. It has the capabilities of shutting on or turning off water. It also has the capability, because of its structure, of making an addition into the water system for the residence in which a T-valve is in front of. Now, according to the blueprints, and I did get a look at blueprints, although the agencies that order the work would not let me see blueprints, they would not even admit they knew what a T-valve was. And that was very shocking, because they have been using T-valves for on and off water turning for over 50 years. However, they have a particular capability. With a T-valve in front of every single residence, which is what we certainly have in LA and what we appear to have across country, you can make a targeting addition into the water supply. You can, let's say you have a street with like number 1, number 3, number 5 residents, numbered residents on one side of the street. You can go into number 3 and skip number 1 and 5, or you can turn them all on and do 1, 3, and 5, or you can skip the entire block. Now, unfortunately, the Department of Water and Power saw fit to lie to me, and they lied to me in print. My first interview at DWP, Department of Water and Power, in downtown Los Angeles, I met with the head engineer for new water work. Her name is Julie Spacht, and with the head engineer for the Western District of Los Angeles. His name is Michael Downs. And they were very glad to show me all kinds of maps where all the reservoirs were. They're not really interested. They're not worried about terrorists dumping anything into reservoirs. But when I asked a question about a T-valve, they went cross-eyed and stupid. And Julie Spacht, actually the head engineer for new water work in Los Angeles, told me she didn't know even what they looked like, and could I draw her one so she could get a look at what one of these strange T-valves are? Well, they've been using them over 50 years. At this time, they are replacing every single T-valve in Los Angeles with ones that respond to computer commands.
Now, what exactly does it? Is it a fire? Is it a water hydrant? How can you tell if you have a T-valve in front of your house?
Well, because the work's not at the street, you can't tell unless you see a blueprint. Now, they've done water work under the pipes here just last year. Mm-hmm.
Right in front of my house. Somebody else's.
Well, they're doing it everywhere. I'm not surprised they did it there, Sherry.
Somebody else's house, just mine. and I know I've been battling being poisoned off and on all the time.
Well, this is not something, people are not being poisoned by the water at this point, because this is not, they're working on the system, and there are other things that have to line up globally before the system gets put into play. There are certain populaces that will be targeted by this, and it's shocking to say this because of the enormous support that our government seems to evince for the state of Israel. But this is a very anti-Semitic administration. And one of the reasons I believe that we are in Iraq, besides, everybody's yelling about oil, well, that's a good decoy excuse.
Yeah.
However, I do not believe it is about the oil. I think that's a great perk, but I believe we need those bases. We have built at least 4 bases there now, and we have the capability to launch an attack on another country. Now, let's say we launch an attack on Israel. Let's say this anti-Semitic administration, and believe me, it is. Let's say they launch an attack on Israel. They blame it on bin Laden. The American Jews lose their safety net. Israel was established after the horrific events of World War II and Hitler. And we all know that, or I hope we all know by now, the listeners know, that Prescott Bush was the money man for Hitler. Our president's grandfather was the money man for Hitler in the U.S. Now, suppose they hit Israel and, blame it on bin Laden or whoever the scapegoat of the moment is.
Yeah.
And then what would happen to American Jews? The U.S. won't be there to save us this time.
Yeah.
So that is one of the populations that is at risk. There are other populations that are at risk. Obviously.
And you realize they're building a huge base in Israel now. It's going to be 50 square miles, this base is, over in Israel. They've been putting together. They have a target date. Has to be done by October of this year.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been waiting for the betrayal, because, people want to say that the Zionists are running our government. But Zionists aren't real Jews. They're serpent seed line. They're Satan's people. And I wouldn't surprise me a bit if the United States attacked Israel.
Oh, I think Sharon is deeply in bed with this.
Yes, he is.
I think the Hitler was part Jewish, so we have some very confusing affiliations here.
Hitler was Edomite. He had this Edomite bloodline in him, the same one that George Bush has. All of them are connected by Edomite bloodline. None of them are anybody in power right now in the state of Israel is not a true Israelite, not what we would call a true Jew. They're Edomite bloodline Jews. They're Satan's seed line. And that's why I get so attacked when I come out with this information on the seed lines that are really behind the scenes running everything.
But there have been books written, with the titles, What is a Jew? There are people, there are bad Christians, there are good Christians.
Yeah.
There are bad Jews, there are good Jews.
Well, they settled it in the New Testament.
There are people who will turn on their own and sacrifice their own for their own well-being.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems that the Jews who are in power right now have a little bit of a character problem. They have a little bit of an issue about, standing up for life. And Jews are actually supposed to be, more invested in life than in the hereafter. That is one of the trademarks of Judaism, that you are actually concerned with the sanctity of life. Well, I wouldn't say that that's true of Sharon. And
they're all they're all in the New World Order agenda together.
Right.
And it's his job to destroy the nation of Israel, which is what he's doing.
It's exactly what he's doing.
He's doing his job. And it's the people over there that are helpless to stop him as much as we are helpless to stop the Bush administration here from destroying America.
Right.
They can't do anything.
People don't understand. They see a lot of things happening, and it's very difficult to connect the dots. If we needed a base, in the Middle East to attack Israel, Iraq would be perfect.
Yeah, well, right now they're building their own in Israel. Mm-hmm. They've got their own going up. It's a huge storage facility. Mm-hmm. 18, 20 warehouses. Pictures of Barry Shamish put up. I don't know if you've kept up with some of the info he's put out lately.
No, I've missed that.
Right. So they're exposing the space that the Americans are building in Israel now, and eventually it's supposed to be given over to the UN to control.
Mm-hmm. Well, the UN is kind of an interesting phenomenon. Some people say that Hitler actually accomplished his aims because he got the UN established. And
every time they do something, they do it to World War I, we got the League of Nations. World War II, we got the United Nations.
Mm-hmm.